The Gospel of Mark, chapter 8. And now, once again, a great crowd had gathered, and they had nothing to eat. So he called his disciples to him and said to them, I feel sorry for all these people. They have been with me for 3 days now, and have nothing to eat. If I send them off home hungry, they will collapse on the way. Some have come a great distance. His disciples replied, Where could anyone get these people enough bread to eat in a deserted place? He asked them, How many loaves have you? And they said to him, 7. Then he instructed the crowd to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves, and after giving thanks he broke them, and began handing them to his disciples to distribute. And they distributed them among the crowd. They had a few small fishes as well, and over this he said a blessing, and ordered them to be distributed too. They ate as much as they wanted, and they collected 7 basketfuls of the scraps left over. Now there had been about 4,000 people. He sent them away, and at once, getting into a boat with his disciples, went to the region of Dalmanutha. The Pharisees came up and started a discussion with him. They demanded of him a sign from heaven to put him to the test. And with a profound sigh he said, Why does this generation demand a sign? In truth I tell you, no sign shall be given to this generation. And leaving them again, he re-embarked and went away to the other side. The disciples had forgotten to take any bread, and they had only 1 loaf with them in the boat. Then he gave them this warning, Keep your eyes open. Look out for the yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod. And they said to one another, It is because we have no bread. And Jesus knew it, and he said to them, Why are you talking about having no bread? Do you still not understand, still not realize? Are your minds closed? Have you eyes and do not see, ears and do not hear? Or do you not remember? When I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many baskets full of scraps did you collect? They answered, 12. And when I broke the 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many baskets full of scraps did you collect? And they answered, 7. Then he said to them, Do you still not realize? They came to Bethsaida, and some people brought to him a blind man, whom they begged him to touch. He took the blind man by the hand and led him outside the village. Then putting spittle on his eye and laying his hands on him, he asked, Can you see anything? The man, who was beginning to see, replied, I can see people. They look like trees as they walk around. Then he laid his hands on the man's eyes again, and he saw clearly. He was cured, and he could see everything plainly and distinctly. And Jesus sent him home, saying, Do not even go into the village. Jesus and his disciples left for the villages round Caesarea Philippi. On the way, he put this question to his disciples, Who do people say I am? And they told him, John the Baptist, others Elijah, others again one of the prophets. But you, he asked them, who do you say I am? Peter spoke up and said to him, you are the Christ. And he gave them strict orders not to tell anyone about him. Then he began to teach them that the Son of Man was destined to suffer grievously, and to be rejected by the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and to be put to death, and after 3 days to rise again. And he said all this quite openly. Then taking him aside, Peter tried to rebuke him. But turning and seeing his disciples, he rebuked Peter and said to him, get behind me, Satan. You are thinking not as God thinks, but as human beings do. He called the people and his disciples to him and said, if anyone wants to be a follower of mine, let him renounce himself and take up his cross and follow me. Anyone who wants to save his life will lose it, but anyone who loses his life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. What gain then is it for anyone to win the whole world and forfeit his life? And indeed, what can anyone offer in exchange for his life? For if anyone in this sinful and adulterous generation is ashamed of me and of my words, the Son of Man will also be ashamed of him when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels.